Lieutenant Governor Cox is going to kick us off, followed by Mayor McAdams, and then our District Attorney Gill, and Leighann Marsh will finish us off here. She is a drug court graduate, and she is currently a peer mentor with Salt Lake County Criminal Justice Services.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today as we are well into phase 2 of Operation Rio Grande. It's been a very interesting few months for all of us as we've been working now together to help bring, again, end the lawlessness that has happened in the Rio Grande area, bring stability, eliminate the criminal element, and now, most importantly, helping those who need treatment get the treatment that they desperately need to get back on their feet and to really succeed and follow the American dream, which is what this is all about. We're very excited to talk a little bit more about the new drug court. I believe this is the 4th drug court in this area that is launching in response to what we're doing with Operation Rio Grande. This is not just for Operation Rio Grande, people that have been arrested there, but definitely those who have been arrested will fill many of the seats, if not most of the seats, in this new drug court. We're very excited about that. I want to take just a second to thank all of those who have been involved. It's been an incredible journey and a lot of work from a lot of different people, and we're very appreciative of again, this operation, seeing the city, the county, and the state come together in an unprecedented way to help the lives of the most vulnerable amongst us. I was just down on Rio Grande 20 minutes ago, spending time talking to people down there. It's happening. We're making a tremendous difference. But we can't just warehouse people. If we're just arresting people, we know it's not going to work. We've tried that before, and it doesn't work. At the same time, there have to be consequences for our actions, and that's important. We have to raise the level of expectations, change the culture of that area, and all of that is important. The thing we know about drug court is the drug court works. We've seen it statistically. It absolutely works, and it's important to help change the lives of people who desperately need the help. I've been very fortunate. I was able to speak at a drug court graduation just a few months ago, and talking with those who graduated, seeing the change that had happened in their lives, and not just talking to them, but talking to their family members as well. Drug court changes lives. It gives people a fresh start. It gives people a new opportunity, a new lease on life, and allows them to get their lives together to overcome addiction and to find success in this life. Now, I really want to thank, again, everyone that's here, the people behind me, but someone in particular. Mayor Ben McAdams has been a leader in this effort. The county, as we launched this, started figuring out who was going to do what. Obviously, he'll talk more about this, but the county is involved in human services, and so this naturally fell within the county. But it would not have happened without the leadership of Mayor McAdams, who from day one recognized that treatment and drug court would be a critical part of what we're trying to accomplish in the Rio Grande area. And again, trying to help our friends who are experiencing homelessness and those who are suffering from addiction. And so I'm very grateful for Mayor McAdams and his willingness to step forward, his willingness to lead out on this, and for the partnership that we've had with Salt Lake City Mayor as well as Speaker Hughes. And with that, I'm going to turn the time over to Mayor McAdams.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I would also say it has been a pleasure to work with you, and I appreciate our friendship and our partnership. It's amazing what we can do when we come together with a singular focus on addressing our challenges and delivering outcomes. Today marks another important milestone in our work to expand treatment for eligible individuals who have been arrested as part of Operation Rio Grande. In short order, 35 individuals will appear before a 3rd District Court judge to participate in a specialty court program that will help them start a long-term path to recovery. These offenders, as part of this program, will have high level of supervision, treatment, and they will appear weekly before a judge in a program that is proven to reduce recidivism and to end the revolving door into and out of the jail. Individuals in this program, they will be held accountable for their actions, but they will also receive the help that is needed to treat the illness that for so many is the underlying cause of their criminal activity. Years of data show how drug courts is an effective model to help these individuals break the cycle of recidivism and be held accountable for their recovery and return to being productive members of our society. What is unique about today and about this specialty court is the speed with which the Operation Rio Grande team was able to connect individuals with treatment, and they'll be able to do that going forward. Those who volunteered for a drug court option had been in jail for just a few days to maybe a few weeks. They were preliminarily identified by our Salt Lake County team and asked by jail staff last week if they wanted to participate in an assessment and a referral process guided by medical clinicians. Those who said yes, that they were interested in treatment and who met the criteria for the program, agreed with their attorneys to attend drug court today. We have 37 new treatment beds available that were made available starting this week. And by the end of this week, we expect that those beds will be full with individuals and participants in the drug court program. We know that not everyone arrested through Operation Rio Grande is eligible for the treatment and drug court option. And we would be squandering resources truly if we did not utilize the treatment beds to maximize its effectiveness with those who are ready to receive help. So that's what the team working on this has done. With their comprehensive work and working with the jail, they are moving this program forward. Look, all of us, we want the same results through this. We want fewer crimes committed in our community. We want the public to feel safe. We want fewer repeat offenders. We want fewer dollars expended on jail that could otherwise be spent on improving and enhancing the quality of life in our community. We want to reduce court costs wherever necessary. And most of all, we want better outcomes for human beings who are caught in the throes of addiction. So, I'm excited about today's launch. I'm so proud of the work that's been done by so many people who I see here today, the Legal Defenders Association, Salt Lake County Criminal Justice Services, Salt Lake County prosecutors, Gill, thank you. Support from the Salt Lake County Council. We have Councilmember Jenny Wilson here with us today. The Salt Lake County Council stepped forward yesterday to support funding for case managers who will work with these individuals. The drug court is such an important model for helping people to overcome addiction because rather than using the system to drag people down, we use the system to support them, to help them as they help themselves to overcome their addiction. I also want to thank Salt Lake County Sheriff Rosie Rivera for her work from the jail, and also Keely Griffone from Salt Lake County Criminal Justice Services, and also the judges and the court administration for their work today. Thank you to the courts. Also, thank you to Tim Whalen, Salt Lake County Behavioral Health Division, and the treatment providers who stepped forward to make this a reality today. So, it's been so inspiring to me as we work through Operation Rio Grande and we work to first and foremost make sure that our community is safe, that this is a place where people who live and work in this city feel safe, but also those who are coming to the Rio Grande area to receive services, that they are safe and they are not preyed upon by those who would use their circumstances for their own gain. It's been so inspiring to hear stories as the case managers, criminal justice services, and my team's been working in the jail to hear stories of people who have been in the throes of addiction, some anywhere from teenagers to people in their late 60s or late 50s, early 60s who are participating in this program, who have said that they are ready to receive treatment, they're ready to turn their lives around, and they are so grateful for the opportunities that's presented to them to turn their lives around, to lift themselves out of addiction and to lift themselves out of poverty. And that starts today with the launch of this new drug court and the accompanying treatment beds. So I will conclude by reminding everyone, as we've said many times, to the extent that it's become a platitude, we cannot arrest our way out of this. And I will say, as we've been working over the last month to put pencil to paper and figure out the budget of Operation Rio Grande, I will say that is not a platitude, that is a reality. We've looked at these numbers. We cannot afford to incarcerate our way out of this problem. And that's why treatment is the sustainable, the fiscally responsible and sustainable way forward. But treatment is also what will make a difference to people in our community whose loved one, whose child, whose brother, whose friend, whose neighbor is suffering from addiction. That is the way forward to help them to lift themselves out when, if they're ready to turn their lives around, we're ready to support them. And this drug court is a significant step forward in making that happen today. Thank you. Sim.
Good afternoon. My name is Gill. I'm the Salt Lake County District Attorney, and I just want to, before I make my remarks, I also want to just echo the same sentiments, which is that this has been a great collaborative effort. State leadership, Lieutenant Governor Cox, Speaker Hughes, Mayor Ben McAdams, Salt Lake County Council, Salt Lake City government, and also just want to say thank you to my colleague from Legal Defenders, Rich Morrow, who has been part of this second part of this equation. Keep in mind that this has been stated before, there's three parts to this. There is the law enforcement component that went in for disruption, and everybody recognized that no matter what part that we did, that treatment was going to have to be an essential component of the equation. Phase two is a down payment on that treatment responsibility, and then of course third phase, which is going to deal with which Lieutenant Governor Cox and others have talked about, the dignity to work as we transition people into the community. As the district attorney, I also want to just make one other point, which sometimes we lose here, so let me be very clear. If you're homeless, you're not a criminal. Being homeless is not a crime. But there are individuals who are out there because given their drug addiction, mental health issues, who find themselves cycling through the criminal justice system. And we have to be proportionate in our prosecution. That means that if you are out there preying on individuals and you're out there exploiting their vulnerabilities and you're engaging in criminal conduct, which was the sort of the lawlessness that was out there in Rio Grande, then you will be held accountable. You will be prosecuted, you will be jailed, and if necessary, you'll be sent to the prison. But within the criminal justice system, there is also a subset of individuals, because of their mental illness or their addiction, find themselves revolving through it. And there is a better approach than simply jailing people or arresting people. That pathway to success is through treatment, and the data shows that. And as others have mentioned, the specialty courts and the drug court model, the mental health court model, is really gives you a better return on investment than anything else we can do in the criminal justice system. And that treatment component just cannot be episodic. It cannot be just because we are doing this operation. It really is a down payment on the whole criminal justice reform that is necessary. And that's something that has to go and needs to continue beyond this operation and into the future. And what I am really excited about is that we have policymakers, we have lawmakers, we have everyone who is coming together who recognizes a proportionate approach where treatment has to be a central piece of that. Now, there are many who have been arrested, as I said, of Operation Rio Grande who simply need help. And they are committing crimes not to harm others, but because they suffer from addiction or mental health issues. They're harming themselves. They're hurting the people they love. And we are committed to helping them succeed. And this new specialty court is a proven model to help those individuals be accountable for their success and transition to long-term recovery. We become very academic, we become sort of very abstract, and we say, it's that somebody who's out there. And we will hear from somebody who's gone through this. These are individuals. There's somebody's daughter, there's somebody's spouse, there's somebody's sister, there's somebody's family member. And that harm is not only to them, but it's also a destruction of our family unit, of our community. And helping that person recover is a win-win for us collectively. I fully support this new program. As our office has done for many years, I believe in therapeutic justice and this approach. And this court will engage in specialized prosecution strategy focused on treatment, reduction in recidivism, and the long-term recovery that is going to be essential to us to have a healthy community. The drug court program recognizes that addiction is a journey, but also recognizes that individuals must be held accountable to overcome their addiction. And remember, there is a community piece with the Community Connection Center, but these are individuals who are in the criminal justice system, and a structured support is what is going to ensure their success, and we want to make that available to them. And these are individuals which will take a team approach to make the decisions, working with our legal defender partners, with our treatment partners, so we have each individual who will go into this treatment program with close supervision and consequences for non-compliance to assure their success, and including graduated sanction and jail where it's necessary to continue that continuity of success for them. This model has been tested, it has been proven, it works, it is therapeutic justice. Drug courts are a major part of this solution, as is treatment as an integral component of Operation Rio Grande. And I also want to take a second to thank many of our members, especially Todd Olson, Valerie Wild, Sandy Robinson, and as I mentioned, our partners from Legal Defenders for their help as this process started. We met in jail. Those individuals were processed. Everybody came together, and they were screening these cases over the Labor Day weekend, an effort to identify good candidates for this program. And this, again, highlights everybody is committed to the success of this model. And again, I want to echo what Mayor said and what others have said. Folks, as a public prosecutor, I can tell you, if you give me 2,000 jail beds, I can fill them. If you give me 3,000 jail beds, I can fill them. You give me 4,000 jail beds, we can fill them. We will move towards bankruptcy, and we will not get the return on investment that we want. We jail more human beings than any other country in the world. And for the return on that investment that we're putting in there, 2/3 of the people offend and are back behind bar within 36 months. Jailing individuals as a broad criminal justice policy is a recipe for disaster. And I am happy to say that we have individuals here who are making the policy commitment and the resource allocation for therapeutic justice because it works. It is our way out of this situation. Not just because of Rio Grande, but just overall criminal justice reform. And I'm happy to be a part of this effort. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Leighann Marsh, and I am a woman in long-term recovery. And what that means to me is that I have not used a mind-altering substance in 7 years. I won't go into what transpired during my addiction. However, I will say this. For 6 years, I would use a substance that would change my life forever. I would find myself doing things to maintain my habit and turn my back on everything and everyone I knew. On my last day of use, I knew something had to change. Therefore, I made a drug-induced promise to myself that I would either end up in jail or I would take my own life. These were thoughts of a desperate, scared, and defeated individual. Deep down, I knew I did not want to actually take my own life, and I would find myself making sure I at least went to jail. And this would happen. As the officer pulled me into the back of his car, I had the biggest sense of relief. Relief that I did not have to take my own life. Relief that I no longer had to subject myself to a lifestyle that I was living. The arresting officer literally was my godsend. As I sat in the back of his car crying, so full of shame and guilt, I asked him what I should do from here. I admitted to him for the first time out loud that I was addicted to methamphetamines and I did not know how to stop. This kind man would tell me when I got into the jail to ask for a thing called drug court, and that's exactly what I did. This would be the chance at a second life. Excuse me. I appreciate for having the opportunity to participate in a specialty court. It allowed for me to regain so many things that I had lost during my addiction. It helped me to gain relationships with my children and many family members and friends. Specialty courts give individuals the chance to reclaim their lives. It allows for individuals to be productive members of society. and to give back to the community that they may have taken from. Because of my experience at drug court, I have been honored to work there as well. A friend and myself felt there was a need for something more to offer the clients that were coming in to that program, and that was to have peer mentors, someone that had actual lived experience and could help them through this process without judgment, guilt, or shame involved. I just really want to thank everyone. I don't necessarily want to thank everyone that's already been thanked, but I do want to thank the individuals that are actually participating in these specialty courts for showing up every day with their heads held high, doing what they need to do in order to get their lives back. That takes more strength and courage than anything we can ever imagine. Thank you.
Leighann, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Leighann is a mentor to those that are going through drug court, and somebody shared something that really impacted me and changed me a few months ago. They said that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, the opposite of addiction is community. And Leighann is helping to provide that community, and that's on all of us. As Sim said, we can't arrest ourselves out of this. I said last night that the opioid addiction and unfortunately suicide, and you mentioned that as well, are the plagues of our society right now, and Utah is not immune to that. And it's going to take a community coming together to provide the resources to help those that are addicted and to give them hope to overcome addiction, and at the same time to help prevent addiction in the first place. And that's what we need to do to work together. I also want to thank Rick Schwarmer, who's here with us from the courts. Rick, thank you so much for your leadership in making this happen. And as Mayor Ben McAdams mentioned, I don't think we've ever had a specialty court come together this quickly in so short of time. These are a lot of people breaking down barriers, coming together to make it happen on very, very short notice. And we're grateful for Rick and the courts for all they've done. With that, I think we're ready to take some questions. And we have time for a few questions, and you can ask any of us up here. So
you said 35 people were going before Judge today.
Correct.
How many people have in all said that they wanted to meet for
So right now, I think there are 125 seats in the drug court. Is that correct?
That's right.
And through the assessment process, there have been what was the final number? 60 during the initial assessment.
So they did 44 assessments on the first day.
44 assessments on the first day.
They looked at 300 people. There were 60
Do you want to come up here?
I said
Yeah.
there
I
were
think there were
about
60.
300 people that they originally identified. There were 60 that were identified down based on risk need. There were some that I didn't want to participate, but there were, I think, a total of about 35 that ended up before the court. So those 35 are moving towards that 125 slots of the specialty court. But this is something that's an ongoing process. So the risk need assessment will continue to happen, and people will be provided that opportunity who want to participate in. As we said, there were a couple of people who decided that they didn't want to participate. There were some people who didn't qualify. And so this is just a revolving process. But there are 125 slots that are open in this new specialty court.
Do we know how many people who said they're only part of this drug court don't have a permanent residence?
Permanent residence. You mean like? I think that we were having a briefing with the court earlier. It is not as substantial of a number that you would think. There were a group of people who did have connection with the family. A lot of those individuals actually have family connections, but the problem is their addiction, and their family members do not want them back home until and unless they take care of those addictions. So from what I took away from at least the initial briefing this morning was that there were a significant number of people who had connections with their family here within our community. There were certainly some people who were from out of our county and out of our state, but it was amazing that how many people had those connections, but those connections have been eroded because of their addiction and their criminal behavior. So the expectation is that once they get into treatment, that we can connect them back with the transitional housing with their family members.
And I think that's important to note, Sim, and thank you. I'm glad you brought that up because when we talk about homelessness, we kind of use that as a broad brush, and homelessness means very different things to every single person. Many of the people in the Rio Grande area do have friends or family with housing options available, but because of their addiction, they're not in a space where they can take advantage of that. And so as part of the assessment process, we do look at housing and the housing that's available, but all of our housing options are on the table right now as well to help people get into transitional housing, rapid rehousing, everything. We are putting all of our resources on the table to help get people off the streets. Other questions? It's not different from the other drug courts. It is just like all of the other drug courts. What is different a little bit here is you have a cohort of people, and again, it's not just limited to people from Operation Rio Grande, but you do have a group of people who find themselves in a very similar situation for whatever reason, and that's actually a positive thing because the mentorship and the peership that happens within a drug court when you have people with now very similar backgrounds. Now their backgrounds may be different, but at least the last few months or years, their backgrounds are very similar, and that's something that will help. We think there will be a synergy amongst this population.
Do you worry about running out of treatment facilities or space?
Always, yes. We do not, be very clear, and we've been clear from the very beginning, we do not have enough treatment facilities available right now. And that's one of the things that Mayor McAdams has been working hard on. So I'm going to let him talk about that. I will say that one of the pieces of this is funding, always funding. And so the state is committed for additional funding, the county is committed to additional funding, but we are working on getting a waiver for Medicaid expansion. That's very important to funding this, and we're hopeful right now. The governor's chief of staff is back in Washington, D.C. Just today, he's meeting. He was at an event with Secretary Price, and we're talking about getting those waivers granted. We're hoping that will happen very soon. I will also mention that the Governor Herbert has been back in Washington, D.C. this last week. Just today, there was an announcement that was made on a bill in the Senate dealing with Obamacare and the future of Obamacare. We're very hopeful, our fingers are crossed, and the proposal is, it's something the governor's proposed for a long time, is that the state will receive a block grant of those funds that were available under the Affordable Care Act. That block grant would then allow us to develop a program for providing health care for those that need it the most, and many of those dollars could be used for additional treatment bed facilities for those that are in need. So, Mayor, do you want to talk about other things that are happening?
No, thank you. We are very optimistic, actually, at the numbers of treatment beds that are coming online. I want to also acknowledge that our congressional delegation has been very supportive. It's with their help that we're continuing to push the urgency of getting these waivers granted so that we can move forward with expanding treatment options. We have confidence that by the end of this year, we may have a total of 200 to 250 additional treatment beds online, and that's significant. That will roughly double the capacity of residential treatment in Salt Lake County right now. So it's not an insignificant number. We think that we can eliminate wait lists for treatment with those 250 beds. There's a backlog certainly right now of people who are waiting to get into treatment, but with these 250 beds right now, we think we can right-size the system and have adequate treatment. When we catch up, we'll have adequate treatment to help those people in need. So the reason the drug court's important is because we believe this is a way to maximize the use of those treatment beds, that somebody's in treatment, but they have a supportive network around them. The criminal justice system is brought in a supportive way to help them to succeed in that treatment and to hold them accountable, and that accountability helps to keep them motivated to actually succeed with the terms of the treatment. So we're very, very excited about that and have confidence that that's moving forward. As the Lieutenant Governor said, no, there's not enough treatment today for our needs, but those treatment beds are coming online. Providers have stepped forward with ideas about remodeling their space or adding onto their space, how they can bring additional treatment beds, what it's going to take to hire the social workers to staff that. That is happening. It doesn't happen overnight, but we're moving forward. We had, thanks to a grant we received from the state earlier in the summer, we added some additional treatment beds and reduced the wait list, almost eliminated the wait list for the other 3 drug courts. So we had a wait list that was sometimes as long as 9 months to get a treatment bed for participants in the existing drug courts. We've drawn that down to almost zero right now with the funding that we received earlier this summer. And now we're moving forward, adding capacity in the drug court, and we will also bring treatment beds online to help to support that drug court. It's happening in phases, and I'm confident that we'll get it done, and it is going to make a difference to the people who are in need and are ready to turn their lives around. That's the number we're going to work with right now. I'm optimistic that may meet the needs in the Salt Lake metro area. There are drug courts in other places around the state as well. But if that drug court meets the need, I think we'll have to see. I'm optimistic that with the federal waiver we're going to get and the expansion of treatment and this new drug court, we may have our system right-sized to meet the need of people in our community and to give them access to the restorative justice that we hope to have for them.
Anything else? All right, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful day.